Felicitations! It is me, Felicia Day, and this is my podcast. Welcome, 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 welcome! It is January, I don't know. It's whatever number podcast this is. It's in the 20s, right? 20s? 30s? I don't know anymore. Where is time going? Before I get into the podcast, I want to thank everybody for listening. Please subscribe, spread word about the podcast. I'd like more people to listen so I can get somebody to help me with this podcast. Also, I have another podcast coming out. It is an improvised space comedy podcast. It is coming out on February 12th. It is called Voyage to the Stars. It is going to be on Stitcher and anywhere you get a podcast, really. And you can go and subscribe on Apple iTunes at apple.co/voyage, Voyage. It is really funny. My friend Ryan Koppel created it. It's an improvised comedy. So basically, we just kind of get an outline for what the scene is. And then we go and we talk until he cuts us off. And we inevitably make a lot of fart jokes. And it is super funny. Colton Dunn from Superstore. Janet Varney from many, many things, you know, Legend of Korra, You're the Worst, many other things, her own podcast, which is amazing. And Steve Berg, who you will recognize as one of the groupies in Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. We are the regular characters, and then we have tons of guest stars, really awesome ones. I'm not sure if I should tell you, so just tune in. It's going to be great. There's many episodes. You'll get to know us along the way. I had such a good time doing it, and I think you will have a good time listening to it. And it's free. It's a podcast. Go get it. Let's see. I had a really good day, guys. Today is my 30th day streak on Duolingo. Granted, I bought the freeze thing, so I kind of cheated 3 times because I forgot to do it at one time. Duolingo is an app you can get, not sponsored by, but hey, if they want to sponsor me, that would be great because I talk about them too much. Them and tea runners, but they're both high quality things that I use all the time. So there you go. I'm learning Spanish. I'm trying to learn Spanish because I want to live in Spain one day. It's my dream. And I want my child to learn Spanish. And if I send her off to school to learn it, I don't want to be like, I can't help you. No ayudo? I don't know. So 30 days. It is also the 1-year anniversary of my Discord channel. You guys, if you aren't over there, please go over. It's an amazing community. I honestly do all web content because of community. I love building community. I love amusing people. I love making connections between people themselves rather than just with me. And I wish I had more time to devote to it. I really want to get that newsletter started this year, but I'm playing catch up on a couple of writing deadlines this spring. And as soon as I get that under my belt, I'm very excited about them, but it's a lot of work, a lot of agonizing and sitting, and my thighs have definitely expanded and I'm feeling not good about them, so I should definitely work out one day. Anyway, it's the 1-year Discord, so discord.gg/Felicia Day. Go over there. You don't have to pay or anything. You don't have to be a gamer. It's basically like old school AOL with different channels and stuff. We have books, we have board games, all sorts of stuff. I love it. I love all the mods over there. We all hang out, and if you know anybody from the streams, the gaming streams I do on Twitch, most of the people there hang out there too. I'm just grateful for it. It just makes me not lose touch with my community since I'm really not making web content as much anymore. Although now I got podcasts, so there you go. Super happy with that. Also, it is the eve of my daughter's 2-year birthday. 2 years, you guys. She's like, get out of the house already. Drive a car. She's old. No, for real, like in the last 3 weeks, she's literally an actual human being. She is telling me what to do. She's saying, no, not possible. And I'm like, where did you learn that? Ballerina. She gets all these crazy words that I don't know where she got them. And then I'm laughing and I'm like, should I be reinforcing this? Is this cute at this age? But is she going to be a jerk when she's like 5 and does this? Like today I was walking to the grocery store and she saw a dog and I was like, isn't that a cute doggy? And she says, no, not cute. And the owner was like, hey, get a hold of your toddler, please. I don't know. Is there a dog in the bed? Whatever, guys. There's a dog. She's having a birthday tomorrow. I'm not having a party, and I'm just going to say it out loud. We're not having a party. We might not even have a party next year. We did have a small party because my friends made me last year, and she hated it. I don't think she's that into other people. Whenever I'm like, do you want to go to, another kid's house to play? No. Stay here. This weekend, I'm not kidding. I said, let's go to, John and Larry's house. And she said, no go. Sick. And did I'm not kidding, the most fake cough I've ever heard in my life. Who taught her that? She's just devious at 2. She's going to be a handful, man. Every time I start arguing with her, like, okay, so instead of a party, because honestly, a party's just more stress on me. Nobody's going to get her toys that I want her to have, so I'll just re-gift them. Let's just cut the middleman out. Don't buy anything. I buy her everything she wants. She has too much stuff. I'm Marie Kondoing the heck out of her playroom behind her back because she doesn't want to get rid of anything. I'm like, can we get rid of this elephant chair? No, need. I'm like, you need this chair because you have 3 of them. You're the only one in here. Why do I argue with the 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old? So anyway, I decided just to do like little visits here and there to people. So we went to the aquarium last weekend, and my single friends were supposed to go. And God bless them, I love them, but they both bailed on me. So we went by ourselves, and it's cool, man. It's great being a mom and watching your single friends, have a hangover because they can't go to the aquarium at 9 a.m. because they definitely were having fun the night before. It's great. But, we did that, and then we did a little play date, and then tomorrow we're going to go get some pony rides, and then we're going to go to the zoo this weekend and do a couple of play dates. So I'm like, she's got a very busy social schedule. I don't know why we would have to, pay to feed other people to have less enjoyment. She's very sensitive, hourly. Did I say that right? Hourly? Ow. But with the ears. So we even have these little earphones that she wears. When we go to a restaurant and it's too loud, they have loud music. She's like, earphones, and I give them to her. And then she sits there with earphones like a DJ while she's eating like a burger. And people are looking at me like we're weird. I'm like, yeah, we're weird. Whatever. Do something about it. She doesn't want to hear you. You don't have anything good to say to her. Now I know why she's a jerk. She just listens to me. Anyway, it's going to be good. 2 years though. People say, oh, it goes so fast. Honestly, it does, because I think I've got amnesia, because I think nature's trying to trick me into reproducing again. Because if I remembered all that crap, there's no way I would be impregnated again. Absolutely not. Also, I just can't fill my days with as many varied things. I mean, I have struggled. You guys have heard, especially the last year, I have struggled a lot. I've struggled with my own identity. I've struggled with sleep. I've struggled with my health. I've struggled just with existential angst. And just kind of adjusting the fact that I can't be the person I used to be. So who am I now? And what do I let go of? And when I continuously have to keep sort of like triaging my life to pare it down in a more reasonable way. And I guess because my identity was so caught up in being everything to everybody and to myself, so that, I wanted 15 careers. I thrive on the pressure, even though it gets to me. So I'm definitely entering a more healthy space where I'm just focusing my efforts on fewer things and better. But it doesn't feel like I'm alive in a way. And, the other, last night I went to the Magician's Party, season 4. I can't say if I'm in it or not, guys, but, just watch it. And it was so great seeing everybody, because it's just, everybody's awesome, just so cool. And I think it's one of the most innovative shows on TV right now. But everybody's talking about, hey, I got this Hollywood thing going on, and I got this Hollywood thing. And nobody's like interested in a person who has a child and like, oh, I'm just hanging with my baby and I'm writing a couple projects that aren't fancy right now, but I'm really enjoying them. And they're like, uh-huh. And even nice people, like, they're just not as motivated because it's not their scene. They want to hear about people who are doing the similar things they want to do. So not that I don't want to do TV and stuff. It's just I can only do so much. So those are all things that were going on in my head, and everybody else was just delighted to see me. So this is how neurotic I am. I can't enjoy anything. But I did take a Benadryl last night, and I got some sleep because it was great. Yeah, it was fun. The show's going to be amazing, and all the actors are so awesome and so nice. So I would definitely, guys, check it out. And let me see. I also had a panic attack this week about preschool, because I went to the pediatrician for the 2-year thing. And Calliope's really, I got her this little doctor bag, And I got it for her like a year ago. And we, like, whenever an animal bonks their head, we get the doctor bag out and we take their temperature and listen to their ears. And we put the stethoscope on their chest. Like, we do the whole thing. I don't want her to be a doctor, but I'm like, you should be competent, okay? You should be at least pretend to be a doctor on television if you needed to in an instant. I don't know why she needs that skill, but whatever. And so she was so cute. I was like, we're going to the doctor. It's your 2-year checkup. We're doing a little bit of early, and you might get a shot. And she's like, okay. And I said, it might hurt a little bit, but it's going to be fine. And she ran. She's like, doctor shirt. She wanted to put a doctor shirt on, which I have. It's like, it's one of those shirts where it looks like you're wearing a doctor vest, but, you know, it's just actually a t-shirt. You know, the ones that people who go to Key West for spring break, they wear the ones that make them look like they have a muscled shirt or like incredible cleavage, but it's really a t-shirt. That's the equivalent for a baby. It was a doctor shirt, so no cleavage. So she got that, and then she grabbed her doctor bag. No pressure for me. And we got there, and she was really excited. And the minute the nurse came out, it was the one nurse who gives her shots, and she saw the woman and just burst into tears. And I was like, oh, you're aware now. You're aware and remembering things. This is crazy. I really need to not traumatize you right now. Speaking of which, I'm going to be traveling a lot. I announced a lot of conventions I'm going to be doing this year, guys. Boy, I have a couple more to be announced. I was just excited to go a bunch of new places. I got a bunch of offers for a bunch of new places that I haven't been. And because I can travel now without the baby, I was so excited that I might have booked a couple too many, but it'll be fine. It'll be great. I might take her to a couple like New Orleans, and we're going to Louisville, Kentucky, and Raleigh, North Carolina, and Miami, and a couple more. Oh, Detroit. So just check the Discord announcements section, and you could see where I'm going, or check my Twitter, or just reply me on Twitter to see where I'm going. Everything hasn't been announced yet, but most of them have, because I can only travel so much. I do need to get some work done. But my writing's going really good. And it will be, you may be able to see some of it later in the fall, which I'm really excited. So, you know, all the TV stuff, you know, it's a lot of social pressure and feeling like, oh, I'm not doing the quote unquote right thing, but I'm actually feeling like I'm doing the right thing because I'm making things that I love that aren't being interfered with by a lot of other opinions. I'm not trying to make something to please somebody else, and they're actually going to be out later this year. So I'm still like in the middle of, I don't know, anybody who creates something knows that 2/3 of the way in, you just lose faith in everything. And then it's like digging, like trying to, in a boat, trying to like get the water out of a sinking boat, just because you're like, if I just get to the end, maybe I'll know what this is and I can go back and rewrite it. And I'm kind of at that point where I'm just eating too much chocolate, sitting, staring at a computer screen, and it's not productive. I could literally be playing video games and it would be more productive because I'd be relaxing and enjoying myself and be able to write more. Let's play more video games, guys. Anyway. Oh, and I also had, so we did that. And then the doctor was like, oh, what do you think about preschool? And I literally was like, I don't know. I mean, she's only 2. And the doctor was like, you know, some people start really early. I'm like, no, she's not starting till 3. I have a nanny. I'm going to just pay her to stick around. Cause I think she's a baby. She shouldn't be out. But then I panicked. And then I found, and then I ended up touring a couple places and got on a list for when she's like 3.5. So I did that. I felt really proud of myself because I took a panic attack and I did something about it. And that's always better than just kind of sitting and wallowing in the juices of your panic, which I've done my whole life. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. Just do something about it. Take some action, lady. So that was satisfying. Yeah, it's been a really busy 2 weeks now that I'm talking about it. I went to San Francisco. We did a Voyage to the Stars live show. If you watched it, it's actually on YouTube if you want to watch it. It was on Twitch. It's streamed live. The word cloaca was used profusely. And I did a Not Too Deep podcast with Grace Helbig. And I mentioned this podcast, so maybe new people will be listening when it comes out in like 5 months. I love Grace Helbig. I really admire her. She has always kind of been my totem animal of like, if I were an alternate YouTube person, I would want to be her because she's clever and funny and real. And I don't know, she's having fun. It was so funny because on stage, she was like, I really admire what you did with that company. I was like, I admire you. You were solo. You were so free. You get to do only what you want. So it's weird. You know, it's like curly hair, straight hair. Everybody wants what they don't have. But, you know, we're still around. We're doing cool stuff. And it was really cool to be able to do that. Because I traveled without the baby, I was able to read books this week. Consuming. One day I will like have a chomp, chomp, chomp special effect in there when I get a producer or something. And I know a lot of people have offered to be a producer. I really appreciate that. I'm just waiting to go with a network so they can kind of do some work for me and help me get the podcast out there and market it and, you know, have a place where I can record. I don't want to bring somebody in and then have to not use them. So I don't want to use anyone's time badly. So thank you for the offers, several people. Give me a couple months. I might take you up on it. Okay. Anyway, I read the best trilogy, you guys. I literally read 3 books in 2 days because I was basically refused to go out at night and I just read. So I read on the plane, I read in the hotel room, and then I read on the way home, and then I read that night. So it's a urban fantasy series by an author named Craig Shaefer, and it's called the Wisdom's Grave Trilogy. And evidently this author has written like 12 other books with other characters that come into these 3 books. I never read any of those books, and I didn't miss anything having not read them. But supposedly this trilogy is the culmination of his whole long arc. Regardless of whether you go back to the very beginning to read or not, I didn't. I just picked up this trilogy and I didn't find that I was missing anything out. It is amazing. I don't want to spoil anything. It starts out like you think it's just a random procedural, like a cop, you know, investigating a murder or whatever. And it turns out into the biggest, broadest epic ever. And it's a lesbian love story. Okay? So that's all I got to tell you. 100% recommend it. It's just so good. And it just keeps unfolding. Like, I don't know what kind of mind is able to like plan 12 books ahead and have everything, all the threads come together and everything. But, oh, so good. I would highly recommend it. And I'm going to go back and read all the other books anyway, because why not? I mean, even though I don't think it will spoil me, they're all just other things. I also read a book called Apocalypse Nyx by Kameron Hurley. Now, there are other books in this series. This is a series of short stories in the world of Kameron Hurley with this character called Nyx. And basically, I describe this. It's really crazy. It's a very interesting world. I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of like Mad Max meets Dune meets sort of like Middle Eastern culture. It's really violent. And it's this weird planet, and I don't even understand all the lore of it. It's one of those books you kind of have to jump in and know that you don't understand all the words. Like, I'm going to go to France and I can understand 1 out of 10 words kind of thing. But once you get into it, you really, like, it's so gritty and raw, and like the main character is this badass lady who just doesn't give a F. And I don't know, she's wonderful. So I read this book was kind of like, it's been a couple years since the author wrote in this. She wrote a trilogy, I think, and then kind of left it off for a couple years. And I read the short stories, and I just picked them up, having not really remembered the other books, and I love them. So I don't know if you have to read the early ones to understand it, but this was a great book. And I've started. Last episode, somebody asked me, are you adapting the Shards of Honor series? Well, nobody's ever asked me to adapt anything like that, but I picked it up, and I'm addicted. So I'm halfway through the book right now. It's just really good. It's kind of old school a little bit, but the writing and the characters are so good. I just can't stop. So I'll probably get to read the whole Vorkisogan series again. I read some of the later ones with the main character, Miles. But anyway, we talked about him. He was disabled. He was born sort of like with a lot of physical disabilities. And I read a couple of those books concerning him, but I didn't ever read this origin story of his parents meeting, and it was really cool. So thank you for that recommendation. Hopefully my recommendations help you. It's all as this sort of symbiotic back and forth, man. Okay, stop it. TV-wise, I finished the Marie Kondo show, guys. I know I was kind of dogging on it last time. Not really, but I was kind of casting aspersions. And of course, I was just sitting there and I watched it, and I was like, this is a really good show. It's really formulaic, but it makes me happy to watch people clean. And my friends and I have gotten into cleaning our house. It's become more of a social thing, really, than anything. And we've been cleaning areas of our house and taking pictures and like almost humble bragging, like, look how neat my boxes are. Not, a real box, not like a virtual box or a box meaning vagina. So it's become like this almost not competitive thing, but just like, look at this, look what I did. So I kind of had to finish the rest of them, and I enjoy it. I would watch more. Why not? people are kind of there are all these like op-eds on just takes on Marie Kondo, and I'm just like, it just fatigues me so much. The internet fatigues me, you guys. I don't even like to log into Twitter anymore. It's just a bunch of people being outraged with no efficacy whatsoever. I need to just log off completely. I uninstalled it on my phone, and I was so happy for months, and suddenly it's back on my phone, and I'm thumbing like every single second. So, all right, that's my to-do. I also started watching this show called Norsemen on Netflix. Everything's on Netflix, by the way. I don't know what my problem is, but it has everything I want to see. Norsemen is a Norwegian half-hour comedy about Vikings, and that's all you need to know. It's hilarious, and I'm loving it. And I'm only halfway through the first season. There's 2 seasons, so I'm going to be finishing that for the next 2 weeks. Okay. Last things I watched this week were the Fyre Festival documentaries. Oh my God. Okay, listen. I am not into like hip people or millennial cult. That's sort of like very influencer heavy. Like I feel like I did that when I first started my career, and I was like ahead of everybody, not ahead, but just before everybody. And it fatigued me and it depressed me in a very spiritual way. The whole influencer kind of what the internet has sort of wrought, and how we are really taught to only live through the lens of what other people will see us as. We are turning into hollow bottles that don't have any substance inside of us because we're so worried. I'm not accusing anybody here of that, but as a culture, everyone's so concerned about sharing what we have so that other people will like it. Not like nobody's trying to genuinely educate somebody about a concert, right? Like when you take that phone and you film somebody doing, one of your favorite songs, there's no way that you're like, I can't wait to share this experience with the people who follow me. I'm so glad that I can give them a glimpse of this. No, you're showing them that you're somewhere that they should be, quote unquote, or, haha, look at me, or you're just kind of somehow like bookmarking it in a way that you'll never look back at it. It's just, there's nothing useful about it. And that's my old lady rant, I guess. But nothing epitomizes this more than Fyre Festival, which I urge you to watch it. The Hulu documentary is better. It's more thorough. It has a better sort of sense, a bigger sense of this, my commentary, which is much more articulate than my commentary about what the artifice of social media marketing is doing to the world. In this instance, how it was completely manufactured. 10 models on a beach basically caused millions and millions of dollars worth of fraud. So by posting pictures of ladies frolicking on the beach, you're giving people an image that they want to participate, and they just drop all this money to get there. And anyway, I'll get there. But that's a better documentary, and it also has interviews with the guy who did it, Billy, he reminds me of, I'm sorry, I'm going to get not political. I'm going to get political. He kind of reminds me of everybody who's in charge of the government right now. A bunch of like really rich, these rich billionaire people, these rich people who now, by the way, not necessarily very smart, got there probably because their parents gave them money. Like very few like self-made people are running all these departments, and yet, their values of money as status and money. This guy Billy is completely driven by trying to get status and money, and the way he treats people around him, and I don't know, I just see a lot of startling similarities between him and the people who are basically have used image and sort of like slick talk to get where they are. Okay, that's just I'm going to stop with the politics anyway. So, but this guy's repugnant, and the irony is that I know he's going to get out of jail because spoiler alert, is that spoiling? You guys knew he went to jail. Okay, I'm not even going to say this part. He's going to get out, and he's going to have a career. He's going to figure out how to manipulate the situation to get a career. And the fact, what he had people do for him and how he defrauded people, and he continued to defraud people, it's fascinating. And I didn't think I would even last 5 seconds into this documentary, and I ended up watching both the documentaries. So it's really funny. In a weird way. I urge you to watch it because it really is a glimpse into the culture that we're living in. And I think it really, just the idea of artifice kind of making us behave in a way that we're we're creating shells of images around us. I mean, when you're a writer, the tension between the inner creator, the inner person, who we are inside, and who we sort of present to the world is kind of like, that's what a good character is. A lot of writing books will say there's an inner and outer, there's an outer facade of who we present to the world, and there's an inner person. And that sort of conflict makes interesting characters, right? Somebody who's acting like a badass, but inside is putty, or acting like a nice person, but inside is a psychopath, right? So, but the thing that social media sort of encourages us to do, in the way that WoW made us just, there's an aspect of like, sort of like that random gratification of like, oh, let's go farm because one day we'll get that chicken leg, all right? Or that special toy will drop or pet will drop. So there's that aspect of it. But then also the aspect of just being able to create an artifice that is not reality, but it's the reality that we want. And therefore it starts to bleed over into the reality that is for us. And I don't know if that's articulate or not. I probably should have made some notes before I try to dive into something deep. The one thing I took away from both these documentaries, oh my God, is in the Netflix one, there's one of the dudes. Okay, so the thing that really made me mad at the end of both of these documentaries is that ultimately I felt bad for all the people who were in the Bahamas that he exploited and didn't pay. I have a hard time feeling sorry for any of the people who paid a fortune to be there, not because I want people to suffer and I like, haha, people who are rich in your waste. I don't have any schadenfreude for that at all. I feel sorry for people who genuinely went into debt and tried to do this. But I don't think that any of them actually suffered in a way, because I would assume that the status of being a person who got screwed over by Fyre Fest is a better story for them than having been at the successful Fyre Fest. So they're just as infamous and rubbing people's faces in their own reputation as if they had gone to the glamorous Fyre Fest that attracted everybody to the island. Does that make sense? So it almost makes me mad. They're going to go through life and be like, yeah, I was at Fyre. And I'm like, ugh, this is exactly what they wanted. This is what was bad about this. This is what deceived everybody, is this need to be at a place where nobody else is. It's like the worst club in the world. Ugh. Can I get off my soapbox now? All right. Sorry. I'm sorry if I was insensitive to anybody who went to Fyre and really genuinely had a bad time. It looked horrible. Oh, and the person I hated most in all these documentaries, all two, I could watch 5 more, honestly, was this one guy in the Netflix one who was like describing how when they got to the island, they saw these FEMA tents, and it was just like a free-for-all for people to grab a tent to spend the night in. No lights. It was actually very frightening. I would have been very scared, so I do feel sorry for people for that. But, and he was like, yeah, me and my buds, we knew we didn't want any neighbors, so we just started ripping apart mattresses and peeing on everything. And I'm like, what? Who would do that? Who, in an emergency situation where people are clearly like not being taken care of, it is dangerous, will go around like, ugh. I'm so angry at this guy. Peeing on things? Why would you do that? How would that even occur to a human being to do? He represented everything, but I was just like, I don't know I hope the world hates you right now as much as I do. He might be a nice guy. You never know. They might have just cherry-picked that one response, but he was so proud of it. And there was footage of him doing it where he and his friends are just gleefully laughing. And I'm just like, you're not a good person right now. He's the reason why everybody hates everybody who went to Fyre Fest. Anyway, I try to see things from all sides, but it's hard to feel some sympathy. Except for the people that this guy Billy exploited to try to make this impossible thing work. Even though people told him over and over again it wasn't going to work. It's just like the blind arrogance. And here's the last thing I want to do about Fyre Fest, because I really need to move on, because I have a lot of questions from you guys. I was a business person. I had a business. I had a lot of money invested in me to make a business out of web series, okay? A lot of other people did get money as well from YouTube, and they did not make it. We were very lucky that we worked very hard and made the cut, and YouTube continued to support us, and I was able to keep the company going and sell it to somebody who cared about the company and kept it going. And even though I'm not there anymore. Like, I feel like for a while, we were kind of superstars on the block. And I would go to these tech conferences and I would run into guys like that guy, Billy, all the time. It is like the tech bro, you guys. There are, that cliche is not a cliche for no reason. Like, go to San Francisco, go to San Jose, go, like, that pervading bro atmosphere of like, I'm the guy who's going to be the next, Elon Musk, or I'm going to just talk my way into a lot of financing and get people to give me all this money from this vaporware idea. And if you watch the thing, you'll know what I'm saying. So these guys were all around me, and they would always like school me and they would dismiss me, and I would never get invited to the parties where these other men, the VCs and all the fancy people with all the money hung out, and because usually women were not as useful to them, to be honest with you. The way they treat women, you could see in the Fyre documentary, it is the same, a very general atmosphere and culture there that is not changing anytime soon that I see. So I always looked at these people and I was like, I wish a guy like this would just come and work for me. Because I would just generally work with people I respected and liked and who were accessible to me and based in LA. And I was like, man, if I only had one of these, slick talking guys who did business, because their whole job is to present themselves as capable. So they'll just get money. When in the end, they might not produce anything. And so it kind of made me gratified that I didn't fall in with somebody like this, thinking that that's what I needed to do to be quote unquote successful, because I would have either been led astray or I would have been led down a path that I would exploit people around me and below me and like taken money and not actually been able to back it up. Like, I had a lot of pressure early on in Geek and Sundry to make it into an MCN, one of those companies that gobbles up people's YouTube channels. And I refused because I didn't want to not be able to service all the people. I didn't want to just like roll people up and be able to sell the package of them to a big company to make money for myself. I wanted to provide value to each of the people. And I was like, we can't service all these people and improve their careers. And so I refused. And then of course I regretted it later because of course I could have, made all this tons of money had I sold it to a big company. But I'm so glad I didn't do those things because I would not feel good about myself having represented myself as something to people who believed in me as a creator and somebody who would take care of them and try to improve their careers, and not given them enough resources to actually do that and just kind of sold them off. I don't know. That's why I'll never be a mogul or whatever, you guys. I just couldn't do it. So, but when I see how terrible a person that guy was, I've kind of feel justified. Like, I was like, you know what? I'm really glad you didn't go down that path. I'm glad you didn't accidentally stumble into somebody who was interested enough to try to make your career into that and take your audience and try to exploit it like that. So, anywho, that was way too much talking. Sorry. Hope it was articulate enough. All right, couple questions. I will be also streaming either Friday or Saturday night this week. Just always kind of check my Twitter. I'm sorry, I'm a little erratic. I really should just like commit to a Friday or Saturday night. I really need to tell people in advance. So I'm going to try to do better on that. I apologize. All right. Summer literally lusts ask, hey Felicia, are you as excited about Jacqueline Carey's announcement that she is writing Crystal's Dart from Jocelyn's point of view? I know we are both big fans of the series and I need someone else to fan out with. Well, considering that Jocelyn is my favorite male character in any book ever, I would say I'm excited, Summer. I'm so excited. Jocelyn is the hottest. I mean, how do I describe him? He's a knight. He's supposed to be a chaste knight, and he's seduced by the sex worker in Crystal's Dart. I mean, it's so good, guys. It's so good. It's like the best of kind of fantasy. It's not porny. There's a lot of romance, and there is some. I mean, there's hitting sex in Crystal's Dart. So I don't know. That never did it for me, but I just loved the way she writes. Is so like, it's a tapestry of adjectives. It's so beautiful and lush. So I'm excited, Summer, and I cannot wait. He's an amazing character. It's true love, even though Fedri, the main character, needs people to hit her to really have, because I can't explain it to you guys. Just go read the Crystal's Dart and then read Jocelyn's point of view. He's the hottest guy ever. Okay, period. Well, imaginary guy. Sarah the Pearl asks, hey, Felicia Day, I am enjoying your Assassin's Creed streams so much, and I love your sidekicks, Dr. Philbus and Ralph. Dr. Philbus is my steed.
And he talks like this. Hey, Cassandra, what are you doing? You're going really fast. You're killing a lot of people. Do you feel good about yourself right now? I don't know if you feel good about yourself. You know, you got to love yourself before you love other people. And I think your sword really enters a lot too many people right now. It doesn't feel good. Here, I'll take you somewhere else. Maybe you need to go to the beach or something.
That's my sidekick, my horse, Dr. Philbus. And Ralph is my eagle. And he goes, I love eyeballs. I love them. Love those eyeballs. Yeah, eyeballs. So I do a lot of little voices when I do streams. And I cannot say that they're the best, especially if there's an accent, forget it. But Sarah asked, when you play games solo, not on stream, do you make up characters and voices like that too? No, I don't. I don't talk aloud to myself, Sarah. And that's why I like streaming more than actually playing by myself now. I don't even know. Sometimes I'll play a game, like I've been playing Pocket City a lot on my iPhone just because I find it soothing to build, towns and stuff. But I haven't really played, I don't have enough time to play a desktop game solo. And when I sit down to play, I'm like, well, let's invite the friends on. I don't have that many people who watch me on Twitch. I probably average like 1,000, 600 to 1,000 a night. Maybe 5,000 people on one night will kind of come over a 3-hour period. I'm not a professional streamer, okay? I'm not Ninja. That's fine. I don't do it every day. I do it once a week erratically. So, but I just love hanging out with my crew. Everybody is just so fun. And they make so many fun, like I make a lot of jokes, but I see more funny jokes in chat. And I'm like, why would you want to play without this? So no, Sarah, and I'm excited to see you this weekend. All right, Lacey McLean asks, love the podcast, makes my day. You have good taste, Lacey. What kind of advice do you have for handling working with people you have had negative personal experiences with? Oh, this is a really good question, Lacey. Well, I treat other people, okay, there's a couple of layers here. I always like to get along with people. Because I've seen a lot of people do vindictive things to people or like get revenge and try to be out for people and have it bite them in the butt later. I kind of treat people around me like I treat every single piece of correspondence I have, like text and email. Like I'm not saying that somebody couldn't just look through my text and find something that would make me feel bad if it became public. But in general, I'm a paranoid person. I've been hacked too many times. I've been the target of hackers and people who want to find information on me and things like that. So I'm kind of paranoid about what I put into the world. And I'm the same way with people who I work with. Like, I've had, and especially coming from somebody who just started like working with their friends in their garage, like I've had instances where I've had to navigate working with friends and it's been kind of sticky because friends in business it's a very hard world to navigate. Like once you have to sort of like, you're buddy with somebody and then you have to kind of have to call them to the carpet or discipline them or tell them, fire them even. Like it's been really challenging for me as a person who wants everyone to like me and to treat everybody equally to have sort of maintain a business hierarchy. And that's why I had to sort of like step away from all that for a while because it's very hard to navigate. For my part, like if you're working with somebody in a work environment that you can't get away from them, listen, if it's an egregious situation, go to HR, go to your boss. Like, make sure that you have a record of this person, if they're offending you or harassing you, if it's that bad. If it's just somebody you don't get along with, there's a whole gamut. You have to kind of figure out, like, what is this person's problem with you? And it could be as simple as, taking them to lunch and being like, and just being the better person. Because honestly, sometimes when you fall on a sword, it actually will heal your wound up like twice as fast because you're making the gesture and holding out your hand and be like, hey, I know that we've had our differences, but I just say I really respect X and X and X. And I'd like us to have a better working relationship. And I'd love to figure out how I can do that with you or something like that. Because I don't know, what is it going to hurt? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess as I age, I'm like, what is the harm in doing this? What is the harm in trying? The worst is the person rejects you. And, I know in a work environment, you want to, you need to be very, like I said, have your parameters, like as a colleagues. But I don't know if there's any, unless it's like something offensive, what is the harm in taking the high road? Even if they snicker behind your back, like you're doing it for yourself. You're doing it. I mean, there isn't there's altruism, but there's also selfish reasons to be nice to other people. It activates part of your brains, like generosity and things like that. Actually, bring your stress levels down. So if you can be like, I am the mofo saint right now. I'm being amazing, and they can't really hurt you because you're doing it in a way that even if they punch at you, they go right through you like you're a ghost. Does that make sense? It doesn't make any sense with me what I said, but yeah, I mean, it all depends on the degree of the negative personal experiences. Like, for real, always use your infrastructure to help you if there's something serious going on. But if it's just an unpleasant person, you know, try to be the bigger person. Try to, you know, make the gesture and, like, win them back in a sense. Because, like, if it's causing you stress to work with them, why would it's not going to cause you any more stress to try to just kind of, like, figure out a way to make it better. And then if not, like, I don't know. I mean, it's hard because you want to just kind of get away from that person because it's like having an open wound. You don't want to just be around them all the time, but if it's between your job and having to work around this person, you know, just separate yourself as much as you can. But honestly, that's not long term because if you have sort of a coldness between somebody else, it's just going to get colder and colder and then you get frostbite. I have the worst analogies tonight. Lacey, good luck. Let me know what happens. I don't know if you have any of these advice, but okay. The Italian dude. Okay, so I had a bunch of questions from Not Too Deep that were just crazy, and I'm going to like pull from them. The Italian dude asked, what's the weirdest scene you have ever had to play in a movie or TV series? Banana. Hashtag Not Too Deep. I don't know. So this is a really interesting one, and I think you as the audience, you might come up with some weirder ones. So please hashtag felicitations me on Twitter about this. So I have to say, you know, I've fought people. I've been covered in goo. I've stabbed people. I've made out with ladies and men. And I made out with a monkey one time, I think, on a commercial. I think one of the most stressful ones was, it wasn't really weird in a sense, but it was really stressful in that I was in Dollhouse. And the last episode of the whole series, and I got squibbed. And it was the first and only time I've been squibbed. And if you guys don't know what squibs are, they're basically what you put under your shirt or your body or your clothing to look like you get shot. So like somebody will remotely explode something and like blood will come out and it'll look like you have a bullet wound in your knee or whatever from an explosion on your body. So it's not like just a casual thing. It's not like something you do every day. And I've never played with fireworks, even though I'm from Alabama. So I was so nervous, and the sensation, and I knew we couldn't do it more than once. So I'm like, just don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. So I had to run across a room, like a yard, and try to get somewhere. And somebody I got squibbed in the knees, and I was shot in both kneecaps. And I assume wheelchair bound for the rest of my life. I think that's what my character was. But I had to run knowing that my knees were going to explode. And it was horrible. You guys, and when it happened, I screamed because I was so scared of my knees exploding because they exploded. So that, I guess, it's not the weirdest. I'm sure I've done weirder things. Please let me know, you guys. But that was definitely one of the most odd. And I wouldn't want to replicate it again. I don't need to get squibbed. I've been killed plenty of other ways. Please kill me a different way. All right, that's our week. Thank you to Sean Sandalooky who gives me show notes and compiles all the questions from you guys. Please send any questions to hashtag felicitations on Twitter and SoundCloud. We are taking questions, but because I'm not on SoundCloud anymore, I'm on LibSync so that people on a bunch of other platforms can get the podcast. We're not getting as many questions there, so sorry about that. Why am I apologizing? I don't know. Okay. Well, I will see you guys on the Discord, discord.gg/Felicia Day. Happy first anniversary, Team Human people who are on there and everybody else. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks. All right, bye.